with me if you want to live.
Are you not entertained? Is that why you are here?
Zip, don't get scared.
Tap it.
Oh, man. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Stretch. Stretch. Circles. Circular motions. Are you ready?
What gets the blood flowing?
It's 3:11 in the morning.
We're punchy! Punchy, baby!
All right. Hey there, guys. How are you? Welcome to a very late night edition, a very special edition of Flick Krazy, a podcast all about movies and more. And tonight we're doing a very special episode because why? Well, we're double dipping tonight. We already shot one podcast. We figured why not shoot another one? It's not going to be that topical, but we are taking viewer questions.
Yep.
We're going to answer something very, I love this question. Top 3 favorite guilty pleasure movies of all time.
I love it, man.
And we're going to dive into it in just a second. Anyway, I'm here with my good pal, my co-host, Krazy Jason.
You call me Jason. You can call me Krazy Jason. That's my YouTube name, Krazy with a K.
Krazy with a K. And I'm John Flickster, a.k.a. Flickpick, whatever you want to call me.
Flick.
Yeah, call me
What'd
Flick.
they call you in high school? Flick.
Asshole, douchebag.
Asshole. I like how the emphasis on
They
that.
called me Johnny from the Karate Kid. Sweep the leg. Yes, sensei. All right.
Fitting.
So without further ado, we're going to dive into our top 3 favorite guilty pleasure movies. And we got a few other random Q&A questions at the end.
Right.
But you know what? I'm gonna let you go first. What are your top 3 favorite guilty pleasure movies of all time?
Okay, I'm going to start number 1. I'm going to wait for you to swallow that because I don't want you to spit your Coke out.
Okay, hang on. And it's the taste of a new generation. Brought to you by Pepsi. Flicking Krazy.
Paid promotional.
Right there.
All right. My first guilty pleasure movie is Blair Witch 2, Book of Shadows. If ever there was a guilty pleasure movie, that would be it, right?
Or a big pile of shit that you just somehow managed to watch.
Well, I mean, okay, I like the Blair Witch, the original. With the second one, they kind of rushed it, and the director, he's a documentary director, and he kind of wanted to go. They hired him because because he's a documentary director. They expected him to deliver a documentary-looking film, but instead he wanted to make a Hollywood film.
Very standardized Hollywood film.
Yeah, he wanted to. This was his shot at making a Hollywood film, so he's gonna have crane shots and all of that. So it's shot very straight, but I like it, man. It's one of those movies that I put in at like 4 a.m. and just lay in a bed, buzzed on Benadryl.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. The first movie, the first Blair Witch movie, I think is a nauseating mess, and that's just my opinion. But the second
Pissing
one,
off a lot of people right now.
well, I'm sorry, I couldn't take my camcorder in the woods and swirl it around for 5 minutes and then shake a sheet.
Here's something topical.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new Blair Witch trailer for the new Blair Witch movie coming out?
I have not. Does it look like the first movie, or does
I didn't
it look
bother
like the second
watching
one?
it.
Me neither. We neither
care.
one of us give a shit. So tell me about the second movie. What is it what do you like about it? Because I remember very few things.
First of all, I like the main character. He's just a lunatic who was in an asylum, and he starts these Blair Witch tours where they go like camping in the woods where all the locations are.
Okay.
So he takes this group of people with him, and I won't delve into all the characters and everything, but basically it turns into a whodunit, like
Clue, but with
like
Blair Witch.
they spend the night. And then they go back to this guy's house. He lives in like this big warehouse.
Yeah, and I remember the little bridge, the scaffolding bridge that connected it. That's all I remember. And he drove a van.
Yeah.
I remember that much about the movie.
So when they get back, weird things start happening, and they look back at the footage, and there's weird shit going on. So they don't know what happened that night. And there was another tour, and those people got killed.
Oh, okay.
And so, somebody did the murder, they're trying to figure out. And then they thought, they were being led by some evil spirit or something. It's a little bit convoluted, but I like it.
Okay.
I like the atmosphere. I like the way it looks.
I get you. I can
and
understand
it was
atmosphere.
shot. It was shot in October or November, so it has the nice leaves.
Yes, that's what we like. I'll name one, and we'll go back and forth with this. I'll name one here. I'm going to start off with Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, 1991, Kevin Costner playing an Englishman who doesn't even attempt an English accent.
Not at all.
Didn't even try. He said, fuck it. I can't do it. fuck it.
Which is it's better that way, because why try and fail?
Why
do or do not?
Why
There's no try.
completely turn your film into garbage? I love this movie, and I grew up watching this movie. It screams early '90s. Everything from the soundtrack to the movie.
Yeah.
But
Brian Adams.
Brian Adams. How did that even go?
That just blew my mind.
Yeah.
It's too late for that.
But I loved the adventure aspect of it. I loved when they were out in Nottingham Forest or Sherwood Forest, and they have the tree houses and the bridges. You're looking at me very concerned right now.
Well, I just had a thought.
What is that?
You have to see this movie as a kid to be able to enjoy it now.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no way you can go watch it right now as an adult.
Oh, no. You could never look at Kevin Costner with his receding hairline with too much mousse in it and Christian Slater trying to do a shitty English accent. There's no way.
And there's so many continuity errors. Like it cut to a shot of Morgan Freeman sitting there, and he'll have his sword by his side, and then it cut to something else, and it cut back, and he's holding a sword. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of continuity problems.
Well, and speaking of technical aspects, we can both agree on this. The way that film is shot is all but atrocious. There's these fishbowl lenses that they use for close-up shots of people's faces, such as The Witch, and it's all up close. It looks like a made-for-TV film that had a budget of $9.
Yeah, it's sloppily shot by the same. Well, I don't know who this DP was, but the director, Kevin Reynolds,
Yes.
who went on to make Waterworld, which is another one of your guilty pleasure movies.
But it didn't make the list. Also starring Kevin Costner.
No, yeah. Waterworld didn't make the list, but Prince of Thieves did.
It did. I'll tell you what, because I can rewatch this movie a few times a year. Every time it's on TV, I stop, I watch it. And like I said, the adventure aspect. And plus it has Morgan Freeman, Kevin Costner teaming up.
Christian Slater.
Christian Slater's in there. And, it's like a buddy movie. It kind of has like a buddy team-up movie.
And Alan Rickman. I'm going to cut your heart out with a spoon.
Alan Rickman. I love it. I love everything about it. The villain is just so over the top. It's zany. And I think if it was just made a little bit better from a technical aspect, it would be respected much more.
Yeah. Sloppily shot, but had a good score.
It had a
traditional score.
That opening score for the studio,
Morgan Creek.
That they used that over and over for years.
Yeah,
and that's a great score.
Yeah.
So Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. What's your next one?
My next one is let's just get it out of the way, and I proudly say you're about to have the time of your life. Dirty Dancing.
I had the time of my life. Oh man, that song. It brings a tear to my eye when I think about the late Patrick Swayze. Swayze for life.
Well, Swayze actually sung another one, the something about a wind. Or
No, I don't.
You're like the wind.
Yeah,
that's the one. There's a music video. You can go on YouTube and look up Patrick Swayze. This is the wind, or
nobody wants to look that up. So tell me more about the movie.
Leave
Why do
the
you
link
like it?
below.
Why do you like it?
I like the way it's shot. I like the atmosphere. It was actually shot about 40 minutes from where I live.
Okay.
So I like the locale. I don't know, man. It's just one of those movies I watched on VHS when I was a kid, when I was younger. And
Did you like the story, or do you kind of just like the climax, the ending scene there?
No. I like the story. I mean, it had, I think it had good characters. There's no excuse, man.
There's no excuse.
How can I explain to you why I like this?
You can't.
Dirty Dancing. There's no.
Nothing you say will matter right now.
See, I don't like the sequel, Dirty Dancing Havana Nights. I
didn't-
like the way it's shot. It's very natural lighting, outside, and
Me and my lady friend Brittany,
Right.
we agreed if we ever tie the knot, we are going to reenact that scene
you're
in
gonna
Dirty
catch her
Dancing.
and-
I'm going to catch her, and I hope I can catch her, because if I don't, it's over.
She just goes sailing over
Just
your head.
flying over, and a concussion, occurs soon after. But the thing
And
is,
then I get to deliver the line, no one puts baby in the corner.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But I'm bad with choreography skills, so I said maybe you can do the run, the catch, I can twirl, and that's it. I can't remember anything else. Like all that shit, none of that's going to happen.
It's an easy movie to watch. I think it has a good story. I think it has good characters. And it's just, you can just sit back and enjoy it. And it's very 80s, and I think that's what makes it stand apart. It's so, even though the movie is set in the 60s, I believe.
Is it? I didn't know that.
I think it's set in the
Set in the
60s.
60s? Okay.
But it's an 80s movie for sure. So.
Wow. So, you know, you're still a man. I still respect you.
Thank you. I needed that validation.
Well, you got it, and the accreditation on top of that.
Because you like it too, right?
I've seen it probably one time.
Right.
I like the ending song. But without further ado, we're going to go on to something a little bit more manly. We're going
I'm
to raise
still
up
a
the
man.
testosterone. All right, my next favorite guilty pleasure movie. Are you guys ready for this? Because we're about to go over the top. That's right. It's the 1987 classic, Over the Top, about a man who drives truck for custody of his son and he arm wrestles covered in baby oil. Over the Top. Winner takes all, loser takes the fall.
You really know you're over the top. I haven't seen it since I was like 12 years old.
Oh, man. You need to go back and
Interestingly,
revisit
though,
it.
I do know that it came out in 1987.
That's the
Isn't
year I
that
was
the
born.
year you were born?
That's the year I was born.
So do you feel like a special connection because that's the
Well,
year you
it's
were born?
usually either that, RoboCop, or Predator. All came out in 87.
It's a pretty good year, man.
It's a good year.
I'll tell you what, RoboCop and Predator are two movies I could go home right now and watch.
I could go home right now and watch Over the Top.
But Predator and RoboCop didn't make the list because they're not shitty movies.
Yeah, but did either one of those movies bankrupt the studio that was backing it because it was so overbloated and cost so much to hire Stallone that they went bankrupt? Because they thought, here's what they thought, the studio behind Over the Top, they legitimately thought by hiring Stallone, they had the next Rocky franchise, but with arm wrestling. Mm-hmm. They thought it was going to do for arm wrestling what Rocky did for boxing movies.
The thought, do for arm wrestling. You just stop right there and say, okay, guys, next idea.
That's it. And if you want some more info, the screenwriter behind Over the Top, he thought he was making a good movie. Like, he put a lot of time, effort into it. He wanted a really good dramatic movie about a father and son. And he said when he watched the movie in the theater, he knew that his career was over.
Can you imagine having that feeling?
Just that cold
I mean, a
tingle.
wide release movie.
You know, Stallone was paid like $9 or $12 million for that movie.
Really?
It was his highest paycheck ever. He said no to the movie so many times where they offered him so much money, he couldn't say no anymore. That's why he starred in that movie.
His highest pay, like higher than
Up
Flickinger,
until that point,
Okay.
that was his highest paycheck for a movie.
Wow.
Keep in mind, did Rocky 1, did Rocky 2, Rocky 3, maybe even Rocky 4 by 87, which I
that
did.
movie he was in with Dolly Parton.
We don't talk about that. We talk about Over the Top. But Over the Top,
Dirty Dancing in that movie would be too much.
it's just too much, yeah. But you know, as far as Over the Top goes, in all seriousness, you know, there's a few things that kind of resonate with me. My dad drove truck, and I remember he used to like to work out a little bit. And the scene in Over the Top where you have the little kid Mikey. I always pretend like I'm little Mikey. My dad's driving truck, and he's just working out his one bicep the entire time because in Over the Top, Stallone has a bicep curling machine in his truck, but he only works out one arm.
I remember that.
One arm.
See, I got a vague...
Yeah.
When I was a kid, and I saw it one time, I remember liking it, but I remember thinking to myself, even at that age,
This is
this
fucking
is
stupid.
subpar.
This is shit.
Yeah, it was shit, but I was thinking this is subpar, but it was entertaining. For you know.
None of it makes sense, and the title says it all. It's Over the Top. And with that said, what is your next favorite guilty pleasure movie?
The Postman, starring once again Kevin Costner.
He could be in every single one of our movies in this episode, but
Yeah,
So-
we should have made this a Costner themed podcast.
yeah.
Kevin Costner, first of all, I was a huge fan of the book, The Postman. It's one of the great post-apocalyptic. For those of you watching who know me, you know I love the post-apocalyptic genre.
That's why you played Fallout for 356 hours.
Exactly, but that was
Truth.
just Fallout 4.
Sorry.
New Vegas, I played for close to 2,000.
Okay.
Anyway, Costner got the rights, and Costner directed The Postman. Now,
And destroyed the book.
pretty much, yeah. Pretty much made me... I think somebody asked a question a while back, was there a movie that ever made me angry? And now I know the answer.
It's the Postman.
I was sitting in a theater angry. But now on Blu-ray, many years later, I can sit back and enjoy it. I mean, it starts out, there's a fucking lion.
Okay.
Just standing, there's the lightning in the sky, and then there's just a lion standing in this desert. It doesn't really make any sense.
I don't even get it. Yeah.
I like things in there, like, let me give you for instance. He goes to a gas station at the beginning of the film, and he finds a TV guide. Remember the old TV guides?
Yeah, absolutely.
And he sits in front of a broken TV that doesn't work, but he's like seeing what would be on. So he's having
that.
like a little
That's a good
moment. That's a good post-apocalyptic moment. But it, and also Kevin Costner directed Dances with Wolves, and no matter what you want to say about that movie, it was beautifully shot at least. So my question was, why couldn't they transfer the beauty, the cinematography from that movie to The Postman? I don't understand why The Postman has to look
so
like
nasty.
a TV show.
It did. I remember watching it one time on HBO, and it was shot like they couldn't afford cranes or anything, but other than
nothing, just a bounce card.
A 4-foot tall tripod is all they could afford for that movie.
Yeah, I don't understand. And you've seen Dances with Wolves,
absolutely,
right?
yeah.
It's gorgeous.
It's panoramic views. The camera's moving. It's on horsebacks. It's wide angles. You got these ensembles of 500 people coming into a scene. Yeah.
And The Postman cost a shit ton of money. It wasn't as much as Waterworld, but I think it had like $100 million budget or something in that range.
It just failed.
You failed?
It failed.
Oh, I thought you said you just failed.
At what? Why would I even say that?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like something you would say.
It doesn't even sound logical for the conversation we're having.
No.
So,
let's move on.
Let's move on.
We're punchy.
It's late. Alrighty. So the last movie I have on my list is probably considered the best video game movie of all time, and I don't know what that says about video game movies, but it's the 1995 Mortal Kombat. I love this movie. I was really into Mortal Kombat as a kid. When the movie came out, let's just say I was ecstatic. To say the least, I was ecstatic. I used to take a pair of blue sweatpants, wrap them around my head, take ice cubes out of the refrigerator, and throw them around the house, pretending like I was Sub-Zero.
I remember going to see this movie twice.
Okay.
So I liked it when it came out.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it since in any incarnation. Not on television, not on home video,
Not since
nothing.
1995.
Right. So
Wow.
over 20 years,
21
I
years.
remember nothing. I remember like they fight like in the video game, but I don't remember beyond that.
Well, it was a phenomenal script to say the least, and the character development was top
I remember
notch.
they were on a boat at some point.
You remember that they fought. The thing about the movie is it's very dated. The CGI was even dated before the movie came out. But it does. It's fun. It's just fucking fun, man. And some of the fight sequences, you got the scorpion fight scene with Johnny Cage. Like the music, it was just the most badass moment of my life. And plus, as far as movie scores go, that soundtrack, the Mortal Kombat techno mix.
Yeah.
Tell me you can't listen to that and run around the house punching and doing cartwheel kicks and shit. That's what I do.
Well, are you asking me? Did I have to tell you that? Because you're really intense.
Look into my eyes and tell me that you do that.
Their eyes are so watery right now and angry looking.
Well, that's how I get when I talk about Mortal Kombat. Finish him.
I'm willing to sit down and watch it because I did like it way back when. So maybe I still will. I don't know.
I don't think you will, but I want to watch you watch
Does it have a story? No, not really.
Well, you have this group of characters, and they're kind of tricked into joining the tournament of Mortal Kombat to save the realm by Raiden, and they have to fight in this tournament to, essentially protect Earth, the Earth realm.
For some reason, it makes me think of the Never-Ending Story.
Alrighty, so what is your last movie?
That was the most dismissive thing ever. My last what?
The last movie on your list.
I did mine already.
Did you? You did all three?
Book of Shadows, Dirty Dancing, The Postman.
Alrighty, well, I did all three of mine. You got Mortal Kombat, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Over the Top. And now we're going to dive into a few viewer questions. We got maybe one or two, depends. But the first one I want to talk about, and I have a question for you.
Okay.
And I know you could talk about this for 5 hours straight, but we're going to give you a minute.
Well, you'll just have to cut me off.
60 seconds on the clock, on the timer. The countdown begins. what is your favorite Woody Allen film? Of all
No,
time?
that's not fair. You can't give me 60 seconds on that. I need at least 5 minutes.
No.
2 minutes.
Show me a schmeckle. Show me a schmeckle. Jason.
Give me 2 minutes. What the fuck are you doing?
that's my Woody Allen impression. I don't know.
Neurotic, nebbish Woody Allen impersonation.
Yeah. All right. So what is it?
I'm going to say Crimes and Misdemeanors, which is interesting because Woody Allen himself hates that movie. He hates his own movie, and he was trying to correct it with Match Point. Match Point was probably one of his best films from the past 15 years, but Crimes and Misdemeanors, I think, is I don't want to say a masterpiece because the man himself shits all. It's weird when the director of a film that you think is a great film hates it. But I've got to say, it's hard to pick one, so I'm going to say Crimes and Misdemeanors, but I also love Husbands and Wives, Annie Hall, Manhattan, Manhattan Murder Mystery, Bullets Over Broadway. I pretty much every Woody Allen movie that came out up until about 1998.
Doesn't Woody Allen have like 48 movies?
He's got a lot of movies, but
He directs a new movie every
once a year.
Oh, it seems like every 3 weeks.
And actually, this is topical.
Okay.
Either yesterday or the day before, they finally released a clip from his upcoming Amazon series. And I think it's called 6 Scenes or something like that.
Really?
But it's a 6-episode series on Amazon.
You know what I like to see? I would like to see a $250 million budgeted action-adventure film directed by Woody Allen. Could you imagine that fucking thing?
That would be interesting. I've read pretty much anything written about him or all of his interviews, and he did say a long time ago that he loves science fiction. And, of course, he made Sleeper, which is a sci-fi comedy, and it's actually really well done for its time. But yeah, I would like to see the guy with a big budget, but
What do you think?
It'd be the same cast of characters.
Do you
in
think
the
his camera work would fill out for that? Do you think it'd make any sense?
Well, he does hire some of the best cameramen, so
Does he
would hire for the project.
You think? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
he would
you
probably
get the
hire
epic tone.
like a Wally
Really?
Pfister.
You think he'd cast himself in the movie? Do you think he'd cast himself in the movie?
Maybe as like the incompetent captain of the ship. I just can't see that it would be a straight drama.
All right. We got one more viewer question, and are you ready?
I'm scared.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared.
Don't get scared.
I'm not going to get scared because we have paint cans and micro machines, and our parents are coming home in a few days, and we have firecrackers.
You know what? We could talk about those movies because they're so violent.
Home Alone?
You know, the part I hate the most is when he's going up the steps and he's got the tar.
Oh, yeah.
And you see his foot step on that nail.
And he screams like a woman and falls
can't-
backwards.
That's like
can hear it.
fingernails on a chalkboard
Yeah,
for me.
I love it, man.
And when he steps inside on the ornaments,
Yeah.
crushing them.
just the bulb is breaking.
Yeah.
The thing no one talks about in those movies, though, is the scene where they hang little Kevin McAllister up on a hook, and Joe Pesci says, "I'm going to bite off each and every single one of your fingers, one at a time." And he starts biting the kid's little fingers. Yeah. No one talks about the fact that one of the wet bandits were going to...
The wet bandits.
We're going to eat this kid's... They were going to eat his hand. He was going to eat his hand.
It's a dark movie.
No one talks about this.
That's why you like it so much, because you got the dark undertones.
I do,
as a kid.
and I've always wanted to be left at home and abandoned as a child. But in all reality,
don't all children just want to be abandoned?
Absolutely, I know. Well, in all reality, what happens is those two guys break in, they kill you, mutilate your body. Your parents come home, find your dead body, and all your shit's gone. That's what would really happen. But the final question of the Q&A is, what would you consider the best Christopher Nolan film?
Oh, wow.
I know.
I'm going to say Inception.
Oh, okay. And for the sake of argument and to be different, I could agree with you, and I can understand that. But you guys know me. You understand me.
He has to go against the grain.
I got to go against the grain, and I got to go with The Dark Knight.
That's not really going against the grain.
It's not going against the grain.
Not at all.
But Batman fanboy over here, and you want me to go first?
Go ahead.
I'll let you enjoy that delicious cold beverage over there. All right.
Coke. We're doing Pepsi and Coke in the same podcast.
And they don't mind. They both agreed. Multi-sponsorship deal. We're actually getting paid $3 million for this episode.
For each company.
Yeah, so sorry. Alrighty, guys. I'm going to go with The Dark Knight, and here's why. This movie is more than a comic book movie could ever imagine being. This did so much for the genre. This showed that you can take a comic book movie seriously and elevate the material. It's a crime drama action thriller movie. Everyone gives a great performance. You have Morgan Freeman, Christian Bale, Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face. Nolan's camera work in this movie, top notch. Now, this is one of the first movies he kind of started messing around with IMAX. The opening scene in the movie, the bank robbery heist scene, which I would love to see. I guess Inception's kind of a heist movie, but I would love to see a straight up heist movie. But just that opening action sequence where you get introduced to the Joker, and one of the best introductions to a character you could ever do. That's how you introduce an iconic character into a film. Nolan knew how to do it.
Sometimes I just put in the Blu-ray and just watch that opening action sequence.
Absolutely.
It went like the camera's going over the city and the IMAX. You can just see the depth.
And that glass breaks. The depth. You can just everything in that movie's.
For years, that was like the what do you call it? Demo Blu-ray.
Oh, I still consider it my demo Blu. That and Avatar. We can talk about the quality of the film of Avatar, but picture quality, that's how you test out a TV.
Phenomenal, yeah.
But as far as the Dark Knight goes, what can you say that hasn't been said, and what can you say that would make that a better movie than it already is? There's not much buffer room there.
There are very few perfect movies or near perfect movies, and I will agree with you that it brought it to the masses. I mean, it brought kind of the ways Abrams did with the first Star Trek. Mm-hmm. He brought in people who weren't Trekkies, people who had never seen Star Trek. And so I think, like you said, it brought in a lot of non-comic book fans. Yeah. And a lot of people compared it to like Heat, Michael Mann's Heat.
It's like Heat with Batman in it, but it's a better movie than Heat.
It's a better movie, yeah.
The other thing is, when you talk about a comic book movie is only as good as its villain. And if that's how you want to go off of The Dark Knight, then you have one of the best movies ever made, because Heath Ledger played one of the best villains / antagonist in any movie I've ever seen.
Guys, it's a great film. Rewatchability factor is way up there.
I watch it at least once or twice a year, easily.
Now, Inception, I watched a little bit more than The Dark Knight.
Do you?
Yeah, not recently, but there was a period, especially when it first came out on Blu-ray, that I probably watched it about 5 or 6 times over the course of a week.
I love Inception. I remember seeing it in the theater maybe 3 times.
Yeah, it's a good screenplay to like study if you want to, I mean, as a modern day movie, you're like, where are our good stories? Where are our good scripts? And that's a good example, in my opinion.
There's so much left open to interpretation in that movie.
Yes.
There's no right or wrong answer. I like that. Does the top fall over at the end?
Does it? What do you think?
You want to know my honest answer?
Yeah, your honest answer.
My honest. I believe the last portion of that film was all in his mind. It got even the reality scenes got a little too far-fetched. And I think he was so deep that was there was no way out. He just went into his own little happy place.
Yeah, my theory from the beginning was always that Michael Caine was the one who spearheaded the whole thing to try to
dig him out,
incept him, to incept his
son.
Get him
back out. Yes.
When he goes to visit him in Paris at the university, he implores him to come back to reality.
Yes.
And I believe Michael Caine put that whole team together and put this whole the story of going to with Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
That was all made for Leonardo DiCaprio's character.
To get him back out. I agree. Because even the reality scenes, like I just said, they seem foggy. They seem not quite like reality. It still seems dream-esque. Like everything that's reality.
Wherever they are when he goes to get Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
And the way that shot, like the way he's like running through the streets, and he goes in that cafe, and then He's running between those two buildings.
And they keep getting closer and closer and closer. Everything in that movie, nothing feels like it's out of a dream.
Right.
What is it called when they go so deep that they can't get out of it? What is that called?
Oh, it's like the Nexus. It's not the Nexus.
No, I can't remember it either.
But it's like the deep. What do they call it?
I know. It's killing me. You want to talk about the movie? I'll look it up.
I
gotta know.
You gotta look it up quick.
Okay,
because I'm running out of steam.
Tell me, what do you like? Okay, tell me about some of the camera work, like your favorite scene in the movie. Tell me, like, what scene in that movie just sent chills down your spine? Not even to mention the score of the film. The soundtrack's phenomenal.
I love everything, and I love the whole build up and the idea. And what I like is when they finally get into the dream, and they're driving on that in the rain on that road, and that train all of a sudden comes through. That was the point in the film where I was sitting there. I was already loving it, but the way it sucked you in the beginning, and then it starts to deliver in that scene. That's when I knew this is going to be a great film.
Well, I just wasted everyone's time. I can't seem to find it.
Oh, well, let's just call it the Nexus then. From
The
Star
Nexus,
Trek Generations.
God, I know as soon as I push stop record on this entire thing, I'm going to remember it. Anyway, yeah, Inception. I mean, I could easily say that's my favorite as well. I almost feel like watching it right now.
I could watch it anytime.
You'd fall asleep within the first 10 minutes right now.
I would.
I'd fall asleep in the first 8.
For?
What?
Predator.
Get to the chopper! Is that what you'd stay awake for?
Are you happy that I gave you an opportunity to do an Arnold impersonation?
I absolutely am.
Yeah.
Are you a sexual Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Is that from the movie?
Have you seen Predator?
Yes.
Well, it's in the movie. First 5 minutes of the movie.
I don't recall that. Are you sure you're not having hallucinations right now?
Jesse the Body Ventura says that within the first 5 minutes of the movie.
You know what's blocking my vision of that is that shitty Blu-ray where they look like the whatever they did to it.
They DNR'd the shit out of it. Yeah.
And they look like cartoon characters. They look like CG created. Arnold looks like a CG character, and who is it? Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers just looks like a block of clay.
Yeah, it's just horrible. I can't get that image out of my head.
All right, so anyway, guys, I think that's going to wrap up this episode of Flick Crazy. As usual, if you guys want to check us out on SoundCloud, I'll put the link down below. Go there, follow our profile, download it, stream it, do whatever you want to, or you can just watch us on YouTube every week. You can also find my buddy Krazy Jason over here. Where can they find you?
They can find me on YouTube, The Krazy Jason. That's my channel name, or you can just search Krazy Jason, Krazy with a K. Also, I'm on Twitter, also Krazy Jason with a K.
Not knowing the term for when they go too deep into Inception is driving me fucking crazy.
Just give me a second.
So anyway, guys, if you want to find me, you can find me on YouTube at The Flick Pick or John Flickster, or you can find me on Twitter at John Flickster. I know, I almost...
You say something about unconstructed dream space or something?
All right, guys, so anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Live long and prosper.
Limbo! Limbo! It's called fucking Limbo!
Limbo got...
Limbo.
Why?
Stuck in limbo.
Stuck in limbo.
We were both stuck in limbo. You guys know what? Guess what? We're both stuck in limbo right now. This isn't real. This isn't reality.
I don't feel real.
I'm not real.
I feel like out of body right now.
I am out of body.
I'm having deja vu.
Where's Michael Caine to pull us back?